Hey everyone, PenguinSal here again today. Today we're going to talk about 5 awesome games that came out last week that you may have missed. So these are games that came out anywhere between September 11th and September 17th. The first awesome game that you may have missed is called ak-xolotl. So like ak-xolotl, but AK-47. There's a good chance you've heard about this one, but in case you didn't, let me give you a quick rundown. Essentially, you play as an ak-xolotl whose family and food are stolen from them while he's asleep, and so he essentially goes on a rampage and fights off the other woodland creatures. This plays out very similarly to games like Enter the Gungeon, and it is a roguelite in the sense of you go through the runs, collect resources, lose, and come back to get more abilities and more weapons and things to make the runs hopefully go longer next time around. ak-xolotl is being developed by 2 awesome studio, which has put out games in the past such as Dimension Drive, Aeon Drive, and the upcoming Metroidvania Altered Alma, and is published by PlayStack, which has put out games such as Rise of the Slime, The Case of the Golden Idol, and is the publisher behind the upcoming 2D Souls-like game The Last Faith. ak-xolotl did come out on September 14th, so give this one a try if you haven't done so already. The second awesome game that came out last week you may have missed is called CIPHER-8. CIPHER-8 is a relatively simple puzzle game where you have to move around numbers to essentially crack the code to continue to beat the levels. So essentially what you have to do is you can cycle through 3 numbers and you have to push them into either the left or right column. And when you do that, it'll shift the numbers over, and you have to essentially hit the number at the top by adding up the 3 numbers in each column. It seems simple enough, but there's definitely some brain power to be used in this game. It's also one of the few games we've played that was created in Pico 8, which is a game engine for creating smaller games. CIPHER-8 is developed and published by Ludo Culture, who is the developer and publisher behind games like Wiki Arena and the upcoming billiards roguelike Rack and Slay. If you like quick, mind-efficient puzzle games, try out CIPHER-8. The third game we're going to be discussing that you may have missed from last week is called Heretic's Fork. Heretic's Fork is, I would most equate it to something like Dome Keeper, where you have to set up a turret or series of turrets that fend off waves of enemies. It's also a deck builder in that the cards you get are the different turrets and upgrades that you can give to them. There are also garrisons you can try to deploy instead of using turrets. And the whole time this is taking place, you are also playing as a worker in Hell who is essentially trying to keep the spirits of Hell from escaping and returning back to Earth. So it has a fun psychological element to it as well. Heretic's Fork released on September 13th by developer 9 Finger Games, which put out a game in the past called Zappling Bygone, and the publisher is Ravenage Games, who's been on a tear lately, releasing games such as Untamed Tactics, Dawn Duality, and Mega City Police. The fourth game that we would like to discuss today is called God of Weapons. God of Weapons is a bullet heaven / survivor-esque game a la Vampire Survivors, but I think it plays out most similarly to Brotato in that you can equip a series of weapons, and there's a bunch of different characters that play out differently and benefit from different types of weapons and power-ups such as movement speed or crit chance. One of the interesting things that God of Weapons brings to the table is a backpack hero-esque inventory system, which is how you equip all of your different power-ups and passive buffs and weapons, instead of just getting them at the end of waves. God of Weapons released on September 12th and is developed and published by Archmage Games Studio, which has recently put out the game Beautiful Mystic Survivors. Feel free to give God of Weapons a chance if you like these types of games, especially similar to Brotato. The last awesome game from last week that you may have missed that we would like to highlight today is called Crop Rotation. Crop Rotation is one that I had been excited for a little while since we played the demo. It plays out similarly to like an Endgame of Devil or Let's Be a Landlord, in that it is a drafting game where you are given one of 3 choices at the end of each day, and you have to pick between them to create synergies that happen passively. So while you decide the permits and different fruits and vegetables and things that you would like to put out and the size of your plot, everything plays out randomly based on what you decided to choose. You can create synergies between fruits and vegetables, between sweet and spicy foods. There's also animals to collect that give you different passive buffs. Crop Rotation released on September 15th by developer and publisher Sprouting Potato, who is the developer behind the game Dice Tribe Ambitions. Crop Rotation is one to check out if you like these kinds of new drafting games that have been becoming more popular recently. So that's going to do it for us today. These are 5 awesome games that released between September 11th and 17th that you may have missed. Feel free to give these a shot. Feel free to let me know if you play any of these and what you thought of them. I appreciate you guys watching this, and I will catch you in the next video.